Could Russell Wilson be the New England Patriots quarterback in 2024? And does right tackle Nic Rohloff want to return to Foxborough as he is an impending free agent this upcoming offseason? The two topics on today's show. And before we dive in to those two topics, I want to make sure you guys are looking right going into this weekend, because even though New England might be focused on the future, and you might be as well, I still hate the Buffalo Bills, and you should too. If you want New England to go into Buffalo and beat the Bills this Sunday, hit that like button. I'm hitting my like button. Since we're kind of maybe out of the top 2 range now, let's go beat Buffalo and potentially ruin their playoff chances. All right, could Russ be the QB in New England for 2024? Because if you're living under a rock, he actually got benched as of yesterday by Sean Payton in Denver. And to be honest, it seems like he's going to get cut. Jarrett Stidham, our good old friend, is going to be the starting quarterback for the Broncos in the last 2 games. Listen, the Patriots might be bad this year, but they still have a way of ending franchises, if you know what I mean, because Denver might actually cut Russell Wilson after this year. Listen, there's a lot of financial things that don't really concern New England in this hypothetical, but listen, he was owed a lot of guaranteed money, something to do with injury clause, where if he got hurt, he'd be guaranteed way more money than he actually is supposed to. So they came up to him, can you remove that, blah, 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 blah. He would not. So they're going to end up benching Russ to make sure that they are not on the hook for a certain amount of guaranteed money. And it just hasn't worked out for Denver and Russell Wilson. He's been there for 1.5, basically 2 seasons now. And the former MVP-esque candidate in Seattle has not really been that in Denver. Ever since saying Broncos country, let's ride, it's gone really downhill. You see the numbers on screen. Better season this year in terms of touchdowns, interceptions. He was on pace to potentially get more yards this year. Better completion percentage, better QBR. So year 2, getting rid of Nathaniel Hackett and going with Sean Payton, Russ looked a lot better. But well, it wasn't good enough, because it looks like the Broncos could potentially be moving on from Russell Wilson. We'll talk more in a second, but today's pinned comment, I want to know what you guys have to say about this. Would you sign Russell Wilson to be the next Patriots quarterback if he is cut by the Broncos at the end of the season? Type Y for yes, type N for no. After this YouTube ad break, I'm going to give you my answer, so let it play. Get your votes down below and stay tuned for my answer. I'm going to say no, and it's tough to sell me on. Russell Wilson used to be one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He was fantastic in Seattle with Pete Carroll. Obviously battled with New England in the Super Bowl almost a decade ago and threw that infamous interception at the 2-yard line to our good friend Malcolm Butler. But he was elite after that. They never really got back to the big game, but they were always competitive, and Russ was able to hide a lot of flaws in that Seattle roster. But I will say this. And listen, I want to preface this. It's tough to sell me on Russell Wilson. But it can't be worse than what we've watched this year, right? Like, Mac Jones has played in 11 games, Zappe in 8, he started 4. And these 2 quarterbacks, man, it's been hard to watch. And I get we were spoiled with Tom Brady for damn near 20 seasons. But listen, the quarterback play over the past 2.5 years has just been flat out unacceptable. Obviously, Mac had a really good rookie season, but under Bill O'Brien and Matt Patricia, it's just been rough, and Mac's time in Foxborough is officially coming to an end. And Zappe, sure, he's flashed some nice things, but he's just not going to be the future of the New England Patriots. What could he be? He could be a long-term backup for New England, but he's nothing more than that. And this is going to be a fun caveat as well when it comes to Russell Wilson. If he is cut, talking to my good friend Matthew Peterson here at the Broncos Breakdown, he mentioned something with the contract related, where the contract is going to be offset with whatever team he signs with. So say he signs $15 million deal with the Patriots in the offseason. Well, that takes $15 million off what the Broncos have to pay him. So Russ is going to get that money no matter what. So Russ, obviously, if he gets benched and then cut by the Broncos, he wants to screw over Denver. So he's going to sign a vet-min deal with whatever team wants to pick him up because he's going to get the exact same money regardless of what the new team pays him. This is a matter of who's writing the check. And obviously, if he has bad blood with Sean Payton and the Broncos, he's going to want to get that money from Denver. So he's going to sign a vet-min deal, which would likely be around $1.5 million. So if New England did want to look into signing Russell Wilson, it really wouldn't affect their cap situation because it would be such a cheap contract. My thoughts and final thoughts on this situation in a second, but I do want to get you guys alerted on the #1 daily fantasy sports platform in North America, and that is Prize Picks. And they're offering you a $100 first deposit match when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. It's daily fantasy made easy. All you got to do is pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, pick more than or less than, and you can watch the winnings roll in. Rapper Meek Mill plays Prize Picks every single day. Comedian Andrew Schultz does as well. So join me, join them too, in playing the #1 daily fantasy sports platform there is. I have some picks for Thursday night football tonight. And one thing this holiday season, Prize Picks is offering demons and goblins. Goblins makes it easier and less of a payout, but lower line total. The demons make it harder, but the payout is higher. I'm going with a little bit more of an easy play tonight, more than on Joe Flacco, 199.5 passing yards, more than on Myles Garrett, 0.75 sacks. I think he gets a sack tonight. And I'm also taking more than on good old Trevor Siemian throwing an interception in this Thursday night game. You can fade my picks, you can take my picks, but make sure you do it at Prize Picks and get that first deposit match up to $100 when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get that deposit match. It is in the comments and description of today's video. Even though I'm probably out on Russell Wilson being the quarterback in Foxborough for 2024, I could actually see it if Bill Belichick stays on as head coach/general manager for the Patriots. Why? Well, I mentioned earlier it's going to be for a cheap vet-min deal. So, as New England has a top 5 pick as we currently sit, New England also is top 5 in cap space going into next season. And if they cut J.C. Jackson, which we all assume they're going to do in the offseason, they're going to be up to $85 million in cap space. In a offense and roster that lacks talent, you could get Russell Wilson on a basically nothing deal and then use all the cap space, use the top draft picks to build talent around Russ. That is the way you can sell us and me, the fan base, on Russell Wilson being the Patriots quarterback in 2024. I get why it could be an intriguing option, especially if you believe Russ could actually change scenes and be good again. But the issue is his personality, the corniness, the leadership abilities. Would that be able to fly in Boston? I'm not sure, but I don't see it being a 0% chance that if Belichick is running the ship again in 2024, that he wouldn't think about bringing in a veteran quarterback and then using all of the other assets to get better that way on offense rather than go young at QB and then kind of have to mix up the other assets going forward in the offensive department. Coming up now, though, does our right tackle, Nic Rohloff, actually want to stay with the New England Patriots? He is a free agent this upcoming offseason. He talked to A to Z Sports and had some interesting thoughts on the free agents process. He said, "It's really where I built myself in talking about Foxborough, turning into the person that I am. They took the opportunity on me, drafting me in the 6th round. So I always like to, not necessarily prove doubters wrong, but I like to prove myself right. I always like to put my best foot forward and just prove that I'm supposed to be here, and I am here. I think it's a mutual feeling. It hasn't really been any contracts or anything sent, but my agents have been telling me, yeah, it's been open talks. They've been talking to us, but nothing has been written or anything has been put into words." And I'll say this. That long quote from Mike makes it feel like he does want to stay in New England, right? Like, he wants to prove himself right and prove the other doubters wrong that passed on him and prove the Patriots organization right to take the chance on him in that 6th round a couple of years ago. So I think Onwenu does actually want to return to the Patriots this offseason. And I'll ask you, do you want Mike? Do you feel the same way about keeping Onwenu in Foxborough? Type B if you want him back. Type L if you would be okay with seeing him walk out the front door. And also, make sure you do subscribe to the channel because this is a busy offseason ahead for New England. It might be the most important offseason in franchise history, if we're going to be honest. Bill Belichick, could he be gone? Could he stay? Could we draft a quarterback? Could we trade up? The draft, top 5. And then, like I mentioned, a lot of cap space as well, so the free agency rumors are going to go off the charts. Don't miss a thing surrounding your New England Patriots. Hit that sub button right now. I'll say this. I'd love to have Nic Rohloff back. I think he's been very solid for New England. In the first 2 seasons for the Patriots, he was fantastic playing right tackle. For whatever reason, last year they wanted to play him at right guard. His numbers dipped. He started at right guard this year, and then due to injuries, Kelvin Anderson not working out, he went back to playing that right tackle position, and I think he's been solid. 739 snaps, hasn't played in every single game, but he's been consistent enough, and listen, I don't want to say this. PFF is great. They're really the only people that track offensive line statistics, but I'm not going to treat their grades like gospel. Sure, 70 overall, solid, 72.5 run block is good, and 65 pass block is fine, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm going to take these PFF grades like it's the Bible and just absolutely just, if it's good, he's good. If he's bad, he's bad. You have to use your eyes as well, and the eyes tell me only 2 sacks allowed and 4 penalties called on him is pretty good numbers. And the main reason why I want to keep Mike in Foxborough is because Trent Brown is 1,000,000,000% leaving. His body language is horrific. If you didn't see the clip going viral on social media, I please want you to go look that up because the team was celebrating the win on Christmas Eve and Trent Brown was on the outskirts not really giving a shit. He doesn't want to be in that locker room anymore. I don't want to play for Bill Belichick. He is 100% leaving this offseason. So, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I would like to not have to replace both offensive tackles in the same offseason, considering we're probably also getting a new quarterback. 2 new offensive tackles and a new quarterback seems like it would be a recipe for disaster in 2024. So if you're able to keep Mike at right tackle and then only have to address quarterback and left tackle through draft and free agency, I think it would make it a lot easier to build a more consistent offense moving forward, at least for the next season. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel one last time. We are going to be your one-stop shop for everything New England Patriots this offseason, and I promise you, it's going to get hectic when it comes to February, March, April, June. So make sure you hit that sub button, and I'll see you on the next video.